welcome to Talking Point. Tonight's topic, studying Chinese. A breeze for some, but a bane of many students and their parents. Minister Mentor Lee Kuan Yew said earlier that his insistence on bilingualism for a student to be able to master 2 languages in the early years was wrong, and that successive generations of students paid a heavy price because of his ignorance. He criticized the way Chinese is taught and said more emphasis should be placed on helping students master their mother tongue in a fun way. We have with us tonight Ms. Vivien Lai, Principal of Language Center Little Mandarins, Artistic Director of Local Theatre Group Guo Jianhong, who is a mother of 1, and Dr. Tan Chi Lei, Deputy Executive Director of the Singapore Center for Chinese Language. Welcome to the program. Let's start with you, Vivien.
Hello.
Do you agree with what Minister Mentor said? Were you surprised by it, that he made this point that the insistence on bilingualism in the earliest ability to master both languages was wrong?
I think it's not the ability to master the language which is the problem. I think it's the way it was taught in the early years and now as well. A lot of emphasis is on passing exams. A lot of emphasis is on 默写 and 听写, where the children have to memorize a lot of the texts, and they're not taught how to express themselves and speak the language. I think that's a major problem right now.
So how do you make it fun then? How do you make it fun when at the end of the day they have many subjects, they have exam graded and so on? So how do you make it fun then in schools? Vivien?
From my experience in our school, what we do is we play games with them. Whether we are talking about foreign students picking up Mandarin in our school, or local
How
children.
old are the children who go to your school?
We cover from 20 months right up to O levels.
Okay.
And the children who come to our school, for example, we're talking about children who have already they can speak and understand Mandarin, and they can understand and read characters. For such students, instead of asking them to write a passage, 理解问答 or 听写, I think one very effective manner or effective way of teaching would be for them to apply. So, for example, you give them a passage and they can read it. Instead of asking them to answer the question, perhaps you can ask them to talk about their views. Why did the protagonist do that way, behave that way?
But that is a very, in terms of assessment, in terms of the general language and standard in schools then, how do you assess students? Do we only just assess them on their oral ability then? Because surely there must be some other things that we have to assess students on in the traditional method, which we shouldn't just throw away. And this is where the difficulty lies, I guess. What do you think needs to be done, for instance, to change the curriculum?
I think that it's not just a curriculum, because I think that, for example, when you learn English or you learn anything or learn parenting, there's no one set of approach. It should be different kids, different situations, different combination of factors, and therefore it's different. But I think what's consistent that we've all agreed is that it has to be fun. But fun for one kid may not be fun for the other kid.
Correct, yeah.
So you have to find the thing that is fun for them. But I also come from the school that for example, we had to memorize all the poems and all those things when we were in school. You didn't understand when you were memorizing them.
It's still happening today.
Yeah,
The son is memorizing what's without understanding.
You have to still instill it in them, because but you have to find a way of doing it, like for example, a sing-songing way of doing it. You know how in America kids learn how to do timetable, but they do it in a rap.
If I may add, in our school we actually teach, as part of our curriculum, we teach Tang Dynasty poems, and 床前明月光 and all that. But we do it which is relevant in today's society. We don't recite and not knowing what it means. What we do is we turn it into a hip hop with a rhythm, and the kids just want to do it. It's something that they can recite, and after they get the rhythm, we explain line by line what it means and why it was actually written in those days. Why was it relevant then? It may not be relevant now, but if you explain it to them, they can understand, they can comprehend, and it sticks in their mind because it's a rhythm, it's a hip-hop thing, and you put in gestures and all that. It is so fun for the children.
Okay. Do you think Singaporean parents have this mindset that yes, those who have a problem with the language, yes, we should encourage our children to learn another language because it's good for them? What is the motivation? Do you find that parents have this sort of understanding themselves?
I think parents understand the importance of language. I think the problem with a lot of parents is the lack of time. For those parents who have the luxury of actually learning another language, they are actually very keen. So what we do is that we encourage the parents to read with the children. If they can't speak it themselves, read with the children. And when the child is watching cartoon, for example, for a young child interested in English cartoon, it is possible to turn it into Mandarin these days, and you can watch it together and then discuss, talk about the show, show an interest in it, and for some parents who can have the luxury of time, they can actually come for a Mandarin class and learn the same text as the child and show the child that they are interested. And I think children love the fact that, if the parent is doing it, they will do it.
Okay.
There's a higher motivation there.
Okay. We are going ahead, and mother tongue policy is important. Do you think we can actually get over this issue where we're not mastering both languages well? Jianhong, you brought this up earlier. What do you think?
I really do believe that part of the problem is that we are emphasizing too much on the practicality, and we are not spending enough of our curriculum and the kids' upbringing in things that is not just science and math. I think the humanities in school is weak, and I think you were talking about 6 in 10 parents. The problem is the 6 out of 10 parents, a lot of times they're speaking English to their kids and they are poor English.
Yes.
And so it becomes the blind leading the blind in some ways. So I think overall, I think it's about how does language and how does all these humanities relate to who we are as a nation, and I think that has to fundamentally change before we can overcome this bilingualism.
I think doing the immersion camp that you mentioned is very important because we do that in our school and it has proven to be very successful. Children like doing things with their hands, so we will make pizzas in a restaurant environment. We will do Chinese calligraphy. It's all done in Mandarin, but because the children are English educated, they're more comfortable in English.
Yes.
So what we do is that the teachers are able to converse with them in English, but as the days go on, we speak more and more Mandarin with them. And then they realize that as they're doing things, children forget that they're actually speaking a different language. And they get more and more confident. And because they're doing something they love to do, they will start to speak. And that's when children remember that Mandarin is not boring. I think that's the main problem with a lot of our children right now. They think Mandarin is impossible, it's boring.
All right. Okay, thank you all very much for joining us. We have to wrap. No doubt the mother tongue policy is here to stay, not just for the Chinese, but the Tamil and Malay languages. And as we continue to school our children to be global, we also need them to be culturally and linguistically rooted. The challenge is how to nurture a love and interest in their mother tongue.